Hello and welcome to a special episode 1 of Big Rican Presents the Wise Guy Sports Show here on the Big Rican on Sports podcast. I am your host, one of your hosts, the Big Rican. In the middle, we have my man, JC Blue, my co-host for the Wise Guy Show, and my favorite extra special guest, Alex from Row 7, here to come into the Cavaliers-Lions den with his Chicago Bulls hat on. But I promised you guys I'd start off topic, and here's where I'm starting off topic. Today, I wore all my Mets gear in protest of the BS that is going on right now in Major League Baseball. I am fit to be tied. I can't even begin to tell you. Like, I thought I was mad I got COVID a second time. I'm more mad at this. I'm ready to kill someone, and Rob Manfred's on the top of the list. Yankee fans are second. So anyways,
and we're off the rails.
Hey, Jim, you got to understand something. When we do our baseball show, which I don't know if you've watched any of them yet, there are 3 things we talk about. We talk about Chicago baseball because him and Tone are from Chicago. Last episode, we had Willie on, so we got a little bit into the American League West, and we all talk about how much we hate the New York Yankees. So there are general topics we go over each time. So I want to start with, obviously, tomorrow's the big one, boys. Super Bowl, Cincinnati Bengals. How did we get here? Alex, we didn't think on draft night when we did the draft special that Joe Burrow was going to last 8 games. And now Joey's got his boys in the Super Bowl. But I think I have a key to how they're going to get beat tomorrow. And, of course, we just passed the NBA trade deadline, which for at least our boys, I don't know, did your guys make any moves? And I'm not busting chops. I'm being serious.
No moves. No moves. Surprising,
okay.
But no moves.
I'm a little shocked at that too, but I want to get into a couple of the deals, and especially the big ones. So we're going to start with the Cavaliers real quick because that was an under-the-radar type move for the player they got, and they gave up, I don't know, pixie sticks and a couple of quarters. Ricky Rubio's expiring contract. Was there draft capital in that deal, Jim?
There was, I think there were a couple of
protected late first-round picks. I think
something like that. Yeah, it's a, they really. I actually have it here. They really only kind of gave up one in June or July's draft, whenever it's going to be. But they actually still have both picks for next year and also in 24. So they really didn't give up that much.
And here's the best part: if you read what's going on, Ricky Rubio plans to re-sign with the Cleveland Cavaliers in the offseason. So really, for a song and dance, the Cavs have added Caris LeVert, and he has been as good as advertised to start this run. Coming off the bench, which I think is a really smart move, by the way, especially with the way he can spell Garland now with the back issue. So, Jim, I want to – actually, you know what, Alex, I want to start with you with this one. And I'm asking you this as just a basketball guy in general. And this is not something – now, mind you, the Cavs have won 34 games for the first time in a season without LeBron James since 97, 98, since, Jim and I were in college.
Uh-huh.
Do you know how long ago that was?
10-ish years ago or so, ballpark?
You're a wonderful human being, and we like you that much more. But, Alex, I want to ask you this question as an NBA guy. And I believe this fully, and I will say this now, and Jim hasn't heard this. Caris LeVert just made the Cavaliers a Final Four team in the NBA.
I could believe that. I definitely could believe it. And when I seen the deal happen, I was like, ooh, that's really going to make the East that much more competitive, and that hunt for the top 4 seeds that much more, I guess, close in a sense. And then now we haven't gotten into it, but the deal that Brooklyn and Philly made just made things that much more interesting as well too. It's kind of like mixing the pot, and things are going to get dicey.
Oh, I agree with you. I think the key to that though is the Nets will never be at full strength because Kyrie Irving is not allowed to play is basically not allowed to play at home. Although Governor Hochul in New York has lifted some of the restrictions, I don't know if that's an NBA thing where he has to be vaccinated to play in New York. Uh-huh. But right now in the conference, the top 6 who don't have to go into that play-in tournament, Miami, who has been phenomenal, is the 1 seed. Jim, I can't believe I'm saying it. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the 2 seed in the East right now. And he puts the hat on. I love it. I love it. Listen, if you didn't make me this, I'd wear the Cavs hat tonight.
And I was having a good hair day too.
Me too, dude. The Bulls are actually tied with the Cavaliers, but I think the Cavs have the tiebreaker. Is that why they're the 2?
That is correct.
Okay. So the Bulls are the 3. Surprisingly, Milwaukee's the 4. The 76ers are the 5, and the Toronto Raptors are the 6, with Boston, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Atlanta making up that final 4 teams that would go into the play-in to get to the regular set of the playoffs. So, Jim, I'm going to pop to you now, and I'm going to ask you this question. As currently constituted, in the 2 seed, can they get to the finals against possibly Miami? I would actually think they'd end up playing Milwaukee at some point in time. But can this team get to the conference finals?
Without a doubt. Without an absolute doubt. Is because Lauri Markkanen, from everything that I'm reading, is due back off of his high ankle sprain just after the All-Star break, which is here next weekend here in Cleveland. Which actually that's going to add, his range, his size. It's also going to be able to try and limit Jared Allen and Kevin Love and Evan Mobley's minutes a little bit because then they don't have to rotate in Ed Davis, so they can actually give somebody who's got that inside out versatility. And the other thing is that with LeVert, keep in mind when you looked at Colin Sexton very earlier in the year, Sexton held the ball, but Sexton was very, very smooth, could slash to the basket, could get his shot from anywhere, and was just a stone cold killer. You basically remove him out of the lineup. You get somebody in there who's not going to run the shot clock down inside of 8 seconds before they really start to put the play in motion, and also adds an additional 4 inches in height over Sexton. Check, please.
Yeah, I agree. So, Alex, I want to pop this back to you, and let's talk about your Bulls for a minute. Great start. You're at the same record as the Cavs right now, 35-21 through the first 56. The Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan combo is lighting up the Central Division, as I think you thought they were going to when you and I talked earlier in the year. What would you have liked them to do in the trade deadline? And if we're talking about buyout players right now, who's a player you would like to see? Do you want them to go front line, or do you think they need backcourt help?
No, they need backcourt or front line, I should say. Right now, they're definitely scuffling in terms of bigs. And their biggest Achilles heel right now is obviously their health. They have a handful of guys right now who are out a month and a half probably left with injuries. But right now, they're putting up points without a doubt. They're scoring 150, 120 points a game, but they're also giving up 110 points a game as well, too. They've scuffled, to say the least, in terms of defense. So I think another big would definitely help. And I've heard them talking about doing a buyout to try and get Bagley, but I don't know if that's actually a possibility anymore, because I know that is he still with the Kings, or did he get moved actually?
I don't think Bagley got moved, did he?
I can't be 100% honest, but then again, if you look at everyone that got moved between Sacramento, Portland, and Utah, you can't you need a bingo card to keep up.
Exactly. There was like 10 different guys moving all different places.
Well, Bagley would be a nice fit. And talking about buyout players, hey, Jim, did you hear who might get bought out of his contract?
No, but you're going to tell me.
Double T. Tristan Thompson. Cavs Twitter is already saying, bring Tristan home. And I'm going, keep the Kardashians out of the locker room.
You guys don't need that.
We got
only if he's bringing Pete Davidson.
We got one guy from that 16 championship team who's found a fountain of youth. There's no way a second's going to actually really benefit at this point.
I don't know if it's about fountain of youth for Tristan.
Compared to what he was the last 2 years.
Well, no, agreed. I'm not talking about Kevin. I'm talking about Tristan.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a fountain of youth for Tristan, but he's somebody with playoff experience that can spell Jared Allen a little bit, who we know will give the effort, especially on the glass. That really the bigs that the Cavs have on the bench, they give the effort, but they're maybe not as talented on the rebounding portion of the game. From the little bit I get to watch, because Bally Sports sucks, and I can't, even when my parents sign in, I can't get to watch them on the tablet.
Yeah.
I think it'd be a nice nostalgia story. I also think if Bickerstaff is able to motivate this team to a way I don't think I've ever seen a coach motivate them. Maybe Lenny Wilkins with the Mark Price, Craig Elo, Brad Doherty, Larry Nance Cavaliers, or even Mike Fratello of the early Gundarina Cavaliers.
You probably want to say Fratello in there because he actually was working with very limited versions and kind of towards the back end of Lenny's crew, where Lenny still had on paper, top to bottom, the most talented Cavs roster in franchise history.
Until this one.
So
let's jump off the Cavs. Like I said, Jim, when you and I do our second show in a couple weeks, we'll really do a deep dive on our boys. And Alex, we got baseball coming up because I'm getting angry. I can't do it. I'm done.
I mean, with you.
So let's talk about the big moves. Let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets sending James Harden and a host of other stuff to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben. I can't shoot a three to save my life, Simmons. Let me ask this question. Is Ben Simmons' arrival in Brooklyn sending the message that Kyrie Irving's days are numbered? Jim, I'm going to start with Alex because you and I both can't stand this man anymore. So, Alex, is this a sign to the league that Kyrie Irving is going to not be a Brooklyn Net for much longer?
I think there's a possibility, but I think it's kind of slim at the moment. I need to see exactly where they end up as the season kind of goes on and where they end up in terms of being a playoff team or not a playoff team. That could make a huge decision into it. But if you were to be moved or whatever it may be, I'm curious to get your perspective on it. You know, having that connection to him at one point when he was a Cav. I know he's kind of a nuisance in the locker room. And we're not going to get into the whole vaccine, not vaccine situation, but I know it's definitely hindering Brooklyn to say the least. And he's probably kind of worn out his welcome there in a sense. So I don't think it's a possibility, but I'm curious to hear your guys' take on it.
Anywhere but Cleveland.
Right.
Sorry, guys. I'm having a little camera issue here.
All good. Jim, what's your take on it? Where's your head at with it?
First of all, he's not coming back to Cleveland, especially after that story in the news where the fans went after him when he was here a couple of weeks ago. I think his days could end up being numbered because they built that big three in an effort to basically kind of wreck and destroy the league with free agency, the likes that LeBron had never even thought of before. But if you think about it, Durant is never healthy. It's in the last few years since he tore that ACL. Harden gets moved. Kyrie can't fit. Kyrie's gone from Cleveland to Boston to Brooklyn, and he's worn out his welcome very, very quickly wherever he's been. So this is something where I don't think it's a 19 guys, one ball thing. I think it's more of a character and an ego thing that something's going to catch up with him and Simmons. They're going to actually put on a good face, but they're not going to get along. Something's going to come up.
I agree with you. And the thing about Kyrie that you and I have talked about before is my background just kind of went away because the camera's being stupid. Sorry about that. The thing about Kyrie that's always annoyed me, besides the fact that, he went to Duke and he's a flat earther, he let I love that smile. He really let Stephen A. and Skip Bayless and all them get in his head and think he is the reason they won that title in 2016, which everybody and their mother knows. Not only did LeBron lead the team in every offensive and defensive category, but he's the one who told Ty Lue to put Kyrie in the pick and roll against Steph Curry. And he hit the foul shot with the messed up wrist to make it a 4-point lead. So ever since that moment, Kyrie has just kind of I looked at him, I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? And now what he's doing this year, that was a great team that he basically just destroyed on his own.
Yep.
So last thing on the NBA I want to hit, and that is the inactivity of the Los Angeles Lakers. And now the ear's so evil, dude. And now reports that Russell Westbrook may be gone. So, Jim, you did the evil hand thing there, which, by the way, I love when you do that.
For copyright, I won't put the Mr. Burns in there as well.
Yeah, don't do that. Not that. Listen, The Simpsons probably predicted you and I would do this 10 years ago. But in all seriousness, is this the end of maybe one of the greatest eras of a player making everybody around him better? Has LeBron reached the end of that, or is this all on Russ?
That's a hell of a question, buddy.
I just pulled it out of the air, too. I'm pretty impressed with myself.
Sorry. I gotta say, if we're talking, it's on LeBron column A, West on West column B.
Okay.
It's no. I'm asking. Is that kind of how you're phrasing it?
I'm basically phrasing it. Is the Russell Westbrook experiment the one that ends the notion that LeBron makes everybody around him better? Because Russ has played like garbage.
The experiment has been a flat out failure in my opinion. It's I mean, there's really no denying that. The fact that both the LA teams, as much as they actually tried to go out and build super dynasties, are right now sitting in the play-in tournament right now and not hanging on by very much. From falling out of that shows you everything you need to know. Is that the old guard is on their way out. You went over all the top teams in the East a few minutes ago, and look at how things have reversed. Now the West has got those teams sitting in the playoff races under 500, and the East has all the superpower talent.
Yeah, which is obviously a huge shift from the last few years. So, Alex, I want to wrap up this one with you, and I want to ask you a different end of this. Rob Pelinka is the GM in LA. Rob Pelinka was given the GM job in LA because he was Kobe's agent. Do you put this more on him, or do you put this more on ownership for allowing them to basically get rid of all the young talent?
I think it's a mixture of both, honestly, because when you think about what they did, you go out and you bring in Russell Westbrook, whatever you want to call him, Westbrook. That's what he's been.
I'm totally stealing that, man.
Go for it. He's been trending on Twitter as Russell Westbrook as of late, so that's why I've kind of taken it on him, coined it a little bit. But when you bring him in, you got Dwight Howard, and you bring everybody else in house who's kind of up there in age, has seen brighter days in years past. I kind of seen that this was going to be a failed experiment, and then when you get rid of guys, as a perfect example, because I can attest to him, Alex Caruso here in Chicago.
Love him.
I think he's an absolute dog. And he was a huge asset to the Lakers, even though he was coming off the bench. But you see, when you get rid of a guy like that, and you bring in somebody who, not to say that he's a terrible player, but everywhere Russ is gone, it's not really worked out in his favor. So I think it's a mixture of both. And you could just tell that as far as LeBron's face is showing, he did not envision this happening by any stretch of the imagination. I know that he was looking to get at least 2, if not 3 championships in LA, and then, right off into the sunset to go be a producer or whatever. And I could see him looking to make a quick exit, honestly.
Jim, where everybody says that quick exit's going to be. Let's hope it's not.
Yeah, it's I actually just thought of this as Alex, you were bringing up that point. Look at the last 2 times that the Lakers have actually tried to build the super team rosters. You had
the Karl Malone, yeah.
Yeah, and look at how that exploded. And then you've got LeBron, who was a top 5 player and tried to build a super team, and that's imploding just as badly. You can't do that in LA.
No, you really can't. But I think you could do it if you went the right way. Because the Lakers built a super team in the 80s. They did it through the draft and through free agency. But they put the pieces together in the right way. They haven't put the pieces together in the right way with this one. I think that's pretty apparent for what's been going down. So let's leave the NBA for now. Let's go to the biggest moment of the weekend, and that is tomorrow night. About 9 o'clock, we will sit through maybe the greatest lineup of a concert in hip-hop history. Oh, tomorrow's a Super Bowl. Never mind. They have 2 songs they can open with. You either hear the first chorus of California Love, or you hear the first part of Still Dre off the Chronic 2001 album with Snoop. Those are the only ways.
You could still bet the prop about what the first song is that's going to come out. I already looked it up.
It's either that or Lose Yourself.
We're going to have a little bit of fun. I've actually got some prop bets written down that are actual legit prop bets. So we're going to have a little 3-man round table here in a minute.
So let's handicap the game first. And I want to start with the guy who had who's got a new head coach. Let's start with you. And I want to know what you saw going through the playoffs for both of these teams. I'm going to start with me, and I'm going to start here. Didn't mean to cut you off there, Alex, but I'm going to go here. Could the Cincinnati Bengals have pulled 3 better matchups for them in the AFC playoffs? None of them top 10 in pass rush. None of them with complementary running and throwing the football. It's like they got hot at the right time and they had the perfect avenue to get into their first Super Bowl since 1988. Dude, were you even alive in 1988?
I was born in 88.
He's my wife's age. Okay. I remember Boomer Esiason. I remember Joe Montana saying, "Hey guys, John Candy's in the stands in the Super Bowl." I remember that one.
Didn't they quote that in draft day?
Yes. Yes, they did. And by the way, just on topic of one of our favorite teams, because Jim loves the Rams too, it is nice to see that Kevin Costner is no longer the best GM in Browns history. But going forward,
you got your Andrew Berry statue, and then you can actually get your little mini Sonny Weaver Jr. statue right next to it.
Yeah, but do you put one of Jennifer Garner next to that one?
No comment because it's a family show.
Hey, she gave him the sticky note and said Vontae Mack no matter what. I'm good.
That is the only Buckeye the Browns ever should have drafted that worked out.
Until this next draft, and we're gonna do a mock draft and then draft night. Jim, you're gonna be on draft night because we have so much fun with that. So here is what I think is good. My take on what's going to happen. I like the Rams. The pick I put in my family pool was 24-20. But I think Cincinnati's ignoring of the offensive line issues is what's going to kill them. Because listen, Raiders don't have a great pass rush. They couldn't get to the quarterback when they played the Browns, and the Browns were playing, guys off the street because of COVID. Kansas City's pass rush is not nearly as good. They couldn't get to Ben Roethlisberger, who stood there like a statue all night. Tennessee's pass rush hasn't been good since Clowney left. Now they got to face Aaron Donald and Von Miller. And Jalen Ramsey, who's going to shut Jamar Chase down.
I got a comment about that in the back end.
Okay, maybe not shut him down, but slow him down.
Okay, I'll make the comment now. Rams, Jamar's going to get his. Jalen's going to get his, though. The problem is that you're not going to be able to double CK. You're not going to be able to double OBJ. You're not going to be able to double Van Jefferson, who just got activated today as the number 3 option, even though Tyler Higbee's not playing. He got ruled out the other day. But it's like you can't have 8 defensive backs right now against how well that team can spread the ball around.
Especially with Sony Michel coming out of the backfield. So, Alex, as you can tell, Jim is a Rams guy. Neither of us are Bengals guys because we're Browns guys. Here comes the Rams hat. Here we go. And he's legit, too, because when we were in college together, he was rooting for the St. Louis Rams. So he's legit.
I go back to Jim Everett, Cleveland Gary, Jerome Bettis, Kevin Green, Roman Fife.
You go back to Chris Everett?
Yes. Shut up. That's the second time you brought that up in 3 months. Shut up. I'm going to flip this table over on you in a minute.
That interview in the Slump Busters made Jim Rome a hero in my heart. So, Alex, I'm going to go to you, and I want to talk to you about the Bengals side of the ball. We discussed on draft night where very famously I said Joe Burrow's dead, and Tone came back on and said, what the hell was that? When they took Jamar Chase at 5 overall instead of Penny Sewell to fix their offensive line problems. Now, he got sacked 9 times in the AFC Championship game. And if Kansas City didn't fall apart, we'd be talking about the Rams and the Chiefs. Is this the worst matchup that the Cincinnati Bengals could have gotten in the Super Bowl?
I believe so. I think, and granted, that last game, the Niners and the Rams was extremely competitive. I didn't envision to end that way. I was kind of going. I said Rams like all the way, honestly. But in terms of the AFC side, where we're headed on this, I don't believe that Joe Burrow and company are ready for this front four that the Rams are going to bring to the table, and the way that they're going to mix it up and potentially put Leonard Floyd and Aaron Donald on one side, or Von Miller and Leonard Floyd on one side and Aaron Donald on the other side. They do not know what's coming, and I think it's going to be a competitive game. But I think that Joe Burrow is going to see quite a bit of sacks, and I'm talking potentially upwards of 7.
And listen, what the Rams bring, Jim, and going to you now from the Rams perspective, the Rams bring a Super Bowl MVP on the defensive side of the ball. We can probably name on one hand the guys who have won the Super Bowl MVP on the defensive side of the ball. That I can remember, it's him and Ray Lewis. And we got the special teamer and my favorite college commentator, and Desmond Howard.
And Larry Brown. But
Larry Brown, yep.
But honestly, since we graduated high school, that might be about it.
Yeah, that's a long time too. Hey. Considering my senior year was Favre's championship.
Yeah.
And yours was yours the last Cowboys one?
No, because the Cowboys' last one was 94. I was 96. Was that San Francisco, San Diego?
Yes. So you're the Steve Young championship. Okay. Mm-hmm. So, Jim, let's go to the offensive side of the ball, and let's talk about a quarterback who's got turnover issues. Is Matthew Stafford going to get a ring because he wins the game, or is Matthew Stafford going to get a ring because he doesn't lose it?
He doesn't lose it.
Okay.
They have the offensive player of the year, who I tried thinking about this earlier. CK Cooper Kupp flirted with 2,000 yards receiving. There's only been 3 or 4 running backs in the history of the game that ran for 2,000 yards in a season. He caught for just shy of 2,000 yards in a season. I don't know if that's ever been done.
And can I interrupt you right there? Do you know who the quarterback was of the guy who holds the all-time record? It's Matthew Stafford. Megatron has the all-time record. He has put up the 2 biggest wide receiver years as a quarterback in NFL history. And Odell's not his first option. So he's not going to lose it. If I could interrupt real quick, it is 65-64 Cleveland with 7:20 left in the third quarter in Philly.
Getting back to that, just to kind of go back to the Cavs for a minute, I think and I know we'll probably talk about this a little bit more on our next show, but the one problem I actually have with the Cavs right now is that they've got to actually start learning how to play with a big lead. We know that they're so deep that they know how to come from behind, but when they get a big lead, they need to stomp on somebody's throat and quit letting teams back in.
They got to stop spotting bad teams 20 points too. So back to Sunday. My next question is, does Cincinnati have a secondary to slow Cooper Kupp down? Because unfortunately, and I can't stand the guy, but if you go from CK to OBJ, that's not easy to defend. So, Alex, do you think they can slow that attack down?
No.
Yeah, I was going to say, as much as I love Eli Apple and Von Bell, I don't think so either, but go on.
No, I don't see that happening at all. And also, I'd be remiss if I don't mention as well, too, that The Rams are also activated, I believe, Darrell Henderson. So they're going to have the three-headed monster in the backfield.
Yes, they've already said that they're going to rotate all three of those. You beat me to the punch on that one.
Who's the third back? I know it's Henderson. It's Sony Michel. Who's the third back?
Cam Akers.
Oh my God.
And when you think about it, I mean, Michel is your number one. Akers is probably your bruiser, and then you got if you need to get if you're fourth in inches, you go Henderson probably, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that going into the season, Akers was the guy, and then he tore an ACL in training camp. Then it actually went to Henderson. Then Henderson got lost late in the year, and then they actually had to kind of get Michel off the scrap heap, and look at what it's done. They've actually picked up guys who are kind of cast-offs right now, and they are in the driver's seat for winning a championship tomorrow.
Let's go to their O-line real quick, because they have a lot of deep routes that have to develop. Cincinnati's pass rush hasn't really been why they've won. It's really been their secondary. So, Jim, let me ask you this about Cincinnati's pass rush. Do they have enough to get home with Matthew Stafford? And if they do, does this change the complexion of the game?
I would have said yes 3 weeks ago had Larry Ogunjobi not gone down, who was a big force coming right up the middle. And you and I know him full well, for his first 4 years,
Sorry, guys.
I think really, if Stafford gets at least 2.5 seconds to get the ball out, regardless of where it's going. It doesn't matter if it's screens, if it's deep routes, if it's crossing patterns. If he gets any kind of time whatsoever in that pocket that's not collapsed around him, this one could get ugly.
I'm not going to call shootout here, though. I don't know if I can. And it's not that I don't love Joe Burrow, because I do, but I just don't think they have enough firepower. I don't, because they can't run the ball. They're not going to be able to play keep away. And I think you have to play keep away with a team that can score in 10 seconds like they did against Tampa Bay.
Well, the difference is Cincinnati gives up 268.3 yards of offense through the air. The Rams only give up 54 yards on the ground combined all season. So Joe Mixon's not going to be a factor.
Joe Mixon's a non-factor. Alex, he brings the stats.
No, I get it. I love it.
Every time.
I'm a numbers guy too, so I get it.
So let's go to another number, and let's talk about the number 4. I think that's how many turnovers Cincinnati's going to have to force to win this game. Be it stripping the ball, be it the interception, what have you. I think 4 is going to be the number. Alex, if they can force the 4 turnovers, are we talking about Joe Burrow ascending to who knows? Or can Los Angeles still win this game?
I don't believe if it's Stafford's fault that they're giving up these 4 interceptions, because we all know he's a gunslinger, which I'm a fan of, but I mean you're also very susceptible to throwing the pick. I think if he does give up those 4, I think there's a way that Joe Burrow could pull it off. I do. It's kind of scary to think, but it's in their best interest to kind of really get those 3-headed monsters running for the Rams to really develop, to really kind of establish the run game. And then after that, you start opening up to OBJ, and then obviously you're going to find Cooper Kupp and then Van Jefferson over the top if you find success on the ground.
As we all know, that the Rams actually have a very bad habit of coughing up the ball late in games when they should be icing them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I didn't think they were getting out of Tampa Bay. I didn't. I'll be honest with you, and I can't stand him. We all know that. So I want to get prediction time now, and then I want to go over to prop bets. So I think that Cincinnati is not going to get it done. I like the Rams 24-20 to not cover the spread, and it's under the total. Alex, what do you got, bud?
I have Rams 30, Bengals 20.
30 points. I like it. I already know who you're picking, Jim.
38-14.
Oh, come on.
I think the fourth quarter's a victory lap, and I'm not saying that biased.
Really? You think that?
There is nothing on paper between these two teams, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, and I'm going to rip off the Kilborn line. As we all know, games are not played on paper, they're played inside television sets. There is nothing on paper between these two teams that makes me think that Cincinnati's got any kind of shot in this game. Because also here's the other thing that a lot of people are forgetting about, the intangibles with the crowd factor. Cincinnati only has 9% ticket sales. The Rams are actually at 31% for this game. Cincinnati is the home team technically because it's an odd number, because it's an even numbered Super Bowl. This is a home game for the Rams. They're looking to make a point. They built this team for this reason.
Yeah, and the other cool thing is we had all those Super Bowls in the last 2 years. We finally get two teams in their own building to play in a Super Bowl, which I think is cool. All right, so one other thing I think is going to happen. Oh, Alex, what's up?
Well, really quickly, my MVP pick, OBJ. Redemption game.
That was going to be one of my prop bets. It's Mike, who you got?
For MVP?
Yep.
Well, I personally think the Super Bowl MVP is the stupidest award ever given in the history of the world. My reasoning behind that is, I will ask you boys a trivia question. In Super Bowl III, the greatest upset in NFL history, who threw the only touchdown pass?
No clue.
I don't think either one of them did, was it?
John Unitas threw the only touchdown pass. Matt Snell from Ohio State scored the only touchdown for the Jets. And Joe Willie Namath was the MVP of the Super Bowl. Eli Manning made 2 good throws in 2 games, and he was 2 times the MVP. If the Rams win, which I think they will, it's going to be either Stafford. Actually, you know what? No, I'm going to say it. It's going to be Aaron Donald. Because I think it's going to be like from Remember the Titans when Julius knocked quarterback down. He told him to get real comfortable. Yep. I think Aaron Donald's going to do that to Joe Burrow.
I got AD as well, and I'll say this. I'll say this right now. Donald wins the MVP tomorrow night. He's only in his 8th year. He just turned 30. He's already a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
3-time Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time All-Pro, Super Bowl MVP, played in 2 Super Bowls in 5 years. Come on. He'll have 100 sacks in the first game. He'll have 100 sacks for his career with the opener next year. He's at 98 right now.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Nobody's catching Bruce Smith, but Donald's going to give him a hell of a run for his money.
Speaking of Bruce Smith, I would like to let Alex know something. We all have seen the new name of the Washington team. Alex, do you know what jersey Jim is wearing right now?
Is that? I actually do not know.
That is a Shane Falco Washington Sentinels jersey. Dude, when we did my birthday episode, he had the Al Bundy Polk High jersey on.
I watched that one. I loved it. I loved it.
I think the Washington team missed out big. Plus, if you've seen all the Commodores memes of Lionel Richie in a football uniform.
I made the joke all over Facebook and Twitter this week is that if they actually wear that all red, you can actually call them the commies because Dan Snyder is still their owner.
Ooh.
Jim, I know you're a wrestling fan, but you don't need to come off the top rope like that. That's just wrong, man. That's wrong.
With what I'm gonna send you here on YouTube in a couple of minutes, it's a 20-second clip. Might be worse than coming off the top rope.
Oh God! Wait, hold on. Does McAfee have anything to do with it?
No.
Oh damn!
Anybody watch AEW this past Wednesday?
No.
You know what a Beal is, correct?
I think so.
You take a guy in the corner and you basically hip toss him as far as you can.
Yeah.
You watch it. This clip is a guy getting literally launched about 15 feet out and about 9 feet in the air.
Oh, I see that. You're talking about Keith Lee, right?
Keith Lee. It already got turned into the Shooting Stars meme.
Jim actually drove to Chicago for Punk's debut.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Dude, yeah, this dude, he is an originator of backyard wrestling.
Okay.
I mean, I remember seeing videos that were extremely grainy almost 25 plus years ago, where dudes were getting launched through tables like they were the Bills Mafia.
My brother got dumped through we were so, I don't want to say, we were frugal, so to speak. So our tables were basically made out of sawhorses, planks of particle board, and whatever else we could find. They put clay ski pigeons all over this table, put toilet paper underneath it, doused it in rubbing alcohol, lit it on fire, and my brother got chokeslammed through it. There is video of this.
There is video. I've seen it. And I got to tell you, the minute it happened, is that the day we got thrown out of the lab for me being too loud?
Yes.
Okay.
Because remember, I think also you saw the releases that we had to sign to get on that national video.
Yep. Yeah, we got thrown out of the computer lab in college because I think I yelled "holy" at the top of my lungs when I saw his brother go through that lit table. That's how long we've known each other. So, Jim, let's get to the prop bets.
All right. Who scores first?
Cincinnati.
Bengals field goal.
All right.
McPherson's a stud.
I'm taking the Rams because I think they win the coin toss. I'm not asking the coin toss question. The
you think they take the ball?
What's that?
You think they take the ball if they win the toss?
I think they go out and they make a statement in front of their home crowd.
Okay.
National anthem over or under 104.5 seconds. I'm taking
Who's doing
the over because what's that?
Who's doing it?
I can't think of her name. She's a country singer. They actually, they say that she is the first African American country singer to ever open the Super Bowl.
You said what's
Super Bowl.
104 seconds? You said
104.5 seconds is the over under. And I'm going to take the over because we all know that they make these into a production instead of just shutting up and singing the damn song.
Over.
Mickey Guyton is her name, and I'll take the over.
All right. Last one. Since I have no intention of watching the halftime show because I can't stand any of them, and the fact that they're doing this out in LA or in California and they don't have one of two acts doing this, that they didn't either get Alice Cooper, whose lead guitarist Nita Strauss plays the national anthem for every Rams home game for the last 3 years, or the fact that they still have not brought Metallica out there. So I will not be watching the halftime. Does an F-bomb get dropped during the halftime show by one of these performers?
It depends how much smoke is around from the pyrotechnic display before the game. I think if Snoop is the originator of said pyrotechnic display and that smoke is in the air, one may get dropped.
I'll take that. All right, so that's yes across the board. So those are the three that I have, and I figure after the game, Mike and I, you and I will actually go over these on our next show.
We will go over them on our next show, but I want to see if I can find one other one that I wanted to, a couple other ones that I want to get into because this is just going to get stupid.
I think really my deciding factor for this, because we all know that they both offenses are going to get theirs. They both scored up 460 points during the regular season. If you look at the Rams, Stafford, OBJ, Ramsey, Whitworth, Kupp, Donald, they're all looking basically for validation. And when you've got that many guys who are potential, Hall of Famers down the road, if not, guys like Whitworth and Stafford right now, and Donald with a ring would basically be Hall of Famers. I don't see how they lose this game.
No, I gotcha. Let's see here. First of all, who's doing? Is it Jim Nance and Tony Romo?
It is no, it's on NBC. So it's Collinsworth and Michael on TV, and it is Kurt Warner and Kevin Harlan on radio.
Oh, I like that.
And they have Michelle Tafoya, and I can't think of who's the other one on the sideline. And then they've got Mike Golick on this. It's Michelle Tafoya and Catherine Tappan, who's been doing the hockey and some of the Olympic coverage. So they're on the sideline. Mike Golick's on the sideline on radio, and I can't think of who's paired with him.
Senior or junior?
Senior.
Nice. All right, so here's a prop bet for you guys. Who will be mentioned, or what will be mentioned first during the Super Bowl MVP speech? Team or teammates, city or fans, God or religion, family, coaches, or the owner?
Team or teammates. It's got to be.
Oh, the first thing someone's going to say is all glory to God.
I think God as well.
All right. Here's a question. What commercial is everybody looking forward to?
Apparently, Lay's is doing their first one in several years, and they usually come out with a good one. Doritos always comes heavy. Even though, I mean, you know my philosophy on this, they are garbage cars, but they put out really good Super Bowl commercials. I'm looking to see what Hyundai does, considering how they knocked it out of the park with their last one, which I brought up on our last show.
I am looking forward to the fact that there's going to be a commercial where Austin Powers and multiple characters from that realm are going to be featured. Because it looks like he's going to make number 4.
Stop. Are you serious?
That's what I've heard. Yep.
Wow.
If we get Dr. Evil and Fat Bastard in the same commercial, I'm going to love it.
I did see something about that there was going to be a commercial. Apparently, also Pringles has got one that they said that people are going to be kind of turning their ears on, because I think they're like redesigning their can so you don't get your hand caught in it anymore.
Really?
Yeah,
I did hear something about that too.
I think the other one I'm looking forward to is doesn't Budweiser have one with a bowling alley coming out or something that's got the Manning brothers?
Well, yeah. Now, here's one for you. Commercial prop bets. You ready? First to be shown in Rakuten's Casino Royale commercial. I'm going to list them. It's going to be a little fast, but I'm going to list them. Tom Hardy, Matthew McConaughey, Idris Elba, Daniel Craig, Shannon Elizabeth, Michael B. Jordan, Zac Efron, Chris Hemsworth, Hugh Jackman, Will Smith, Rob Lowe, Pierce Brosnan, Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, or Kevin Hart. And before I do this, Hugh Jackman's in it. I'm a little upset Ryan Reynolds is not.
I've been binge watching Free Guy for the last 2 days.
That scene when he pulls out Captain America's shield
and then the
lightsaber. And Taika Waititi. First of all, I forgot Taika Waititi was in Green Lantern. Not that anybody should remember Green Lantern.
Hey, I liked it.
He hated it. See, Alex, I told you, off the rails.
Yeah. It's all good.
Well, here's one. How many commercials will include a dog? Over or under 6.5?
Over.
Under.
Really?
I'm gonna say 5.
Said first in the Michelob Ultra commercial, dude or Jesus?
Dude.
Jesus.
This is getting stupid.
You know, if we're gonna butt heads like this, the Cavs hat's going back on. All right.
Seen first in a Michelob Ultra commercial, John Goodman, John Turturro, or Jeff Bridges?
You gotta lead with Goodman.
You gotta lead with Goodman.
Yeah.
You have to say Goodman. The Roseanne and the Connors is based in Chicago. All right, let's see here. What Anheuser-Busch brand commercial will run first? Bud, Bud Light, Mick Ultra, Cutwater Spirits, Bud Light Seltzer Hard Soda, or Michelob Ultra Organic Seltzer? Did I even just say those words?
You did.
Yeah, you did. Alex,
I'm sorry.
you take this one first.
Even though I'm going to be against it, I'm going to say the seltzer.
I'm going to go Bud Light because I think they're going to want to make a statement, and usually the Bud Light commercials are like funny and everything, so I think they're going to want to come out of the chute hot. And shame on you, Anheuser-Busch, for not bringing back the one thing that we've all been begging for the last 30 years, Bud Bowl.
Yeah.
My brother put this on Twitter. He actually is still bitter that Bud Light did not win Bud Bowl 4.
That was the close one, right?
Yes. I think that one was won by Bud Try.
Oh, my God. As long as nothing was won by, 3-2 beer, I think we're all okay. Don't worry about it, Alex.
Alex doesn't remember things like Zima and Crystal Pepsi, at least the original versions.
He shouldn't.
I do remember Crystal Pepsi, though.
Crystal Pepsi
when they brought it back.
Yeah.
Crystal Pepsi was nasty.
It was bad, but it wasn't as bad as the other Crystal thing. Remember, even though it was a spoof, remember Crystal Gravy?
God, yes, I do. Oh, God. James,
what are we down now to? 2 wheels?
We start with 1 normally.
I'm talking the training wheels now.
We're definitely
doing this. We're flopping all over the place now.
Yes, we are. Oh, good. I just got the text that Bobby drank his bottle and he's out. So I'm going to show you something I wore today. I was talking about being in protest because I can't wait to see this happen, but I'm going to have to wait to see it happen.
Nice.
And by the way, Jim, thank you for the color coding on the hat because now I can wear my Met stuff head to toe, including
because black goes with everything.
Yeah, but my sneakers are blue and orange too. I'm like off the rails. So I want to touch on baseball a little bit. Alex, we're actually gonna have a new person on the baseball show next time we talk about it. I don't know if you saw, I did an episode with a guy who used to actually catch for me in high school. Jim and I went to school with John, but I told him I'd have him on to do baseball. So I want to ask you one quick question. Who's getting punched first? Manfred, or are we picking a random owner not named Steve Cohen to just deck?
Oh, I'm going after Rob. Rob 100%.
I want to knock his gap teeth out.
Oh, God. He said he was optimistic, and I just want to fight him. I want to fight him.
I usually like Valentine's Day because that's when the Mets report. She's out there.
This is on YouTube in about 2 hours.
She don't watch it. She don't watch it. She sends it out for me, but she don't watch it or listen. Are you kidding me? The first time she ever watched a full game of anything was we were together, I think, like 6 or 8 months, and the Mets played a 19-inning game in St. Louis. And
I remember that.
She couldn't sleep, so she watched the whole thing. I passed out. The next time she watched the full game, Game 7 of the 2016 NBA Finals.
Well, of course, you did because you were forcing her to watch that.
No, she sat right next to me willingly and called Steph Curry a little bitch the entire night.
Well, because he is.
Well, yeah, I agree. So we're in agreement. I think the three of us, Rob Manfred needs to get knocked out. Who do we want to do it? If we had to pick a player to knock him out, as much as I can't stand the New York Yankees, I think I'd pick one of those two dudes, Stanton or Judge.
Probably Stanton.
Yeah. Or do we have Tristan McKenzie do it because he looks like a hood rat?
I'm going to pull the trump card, and I'm going to go likes to fight guy, and I'm going to go Bryce Harper.
How about Amir Garrett?
Yeah.
What's Rougned Odor doing right now? Is because we all know he can actually throw a hell of a right.
That's very true.
Wait, I
I
don't
thought
want to.
Batista. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I don't want to go this route because he just got clear, but Trevor Bauer?
Ooh.
I went there, but I didn't mean to.
Well, hold on. Let me say this. He's the next one I'm decking.
Okay.
Did you guys see about Jeremy Giambi?
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's tough. Listen, for all the garbage.
Not only saw the story, but you actually saw the cause of death, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
But for all the garbage that I gave his brother for taking the money and running to the Yankees, solid dude, was great in Cleveland when he was there. That's tough. He still should have slid, but that's tough.
Although I'm sorry to say it, the one thing I'm going to remember him more for is how he was portrayed in Moneyball.
Yeah, but they weren't wrong.
They weren't, but still.
Yeah, great movie. I think he got a raw deal with that, but yeah, that
movie got a raw deal. That movie should have won an Academy Award.
That's the one Jonah got nominated for, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I think it was nominated and it basically kind of came up empty.
Yeah. The heck was I going to say? So we're here. It's Super Bowl weekend, and unfortunately, it's not baseball season anymore.
How
do you know?
How upsetting! You try to.
Dude, you have no idea.
You're trying to do everything that you can to gain fans, and you pull this crap right now.
I mean, from a personal standpoint, I'm getting a day this year that I think has been a long time coming with the retirement of the number 17 and Keith Hernandez being immortalized by the New York Mets. And then the Mets are bringing Old Timers Day back to the tune of Daniel Murphy's going to be there. Frank Howard, who's 92, said he's taking BP because he's going deep at Citi Field. He said, I went deep at the Polo Grounds. I went deep at Shea. I'm going deep at Citi Field.
Wow.
Big up to you, Frank Howard. And Gil Hodges is getting in the Hall of Fame.
That's right. I completely forgot that about the Legends Committee because you saw the story that I wrote about
yes.
Big Poppy getting in. I completely forgot about the Legends vote.
No disrespect to Billy Wagner, and then I'll ask you about Poppy for a second, Alex. But until the all-time leader in saves for left-handed pitchers in the Hall of Fame, I don't think another reliever should get in. Because the all-time leader for right-handers is in, and Mariano, and number 2 is in. Number 4 is in. But not number 1 from the left side. And the two of you are looking at me blankly because you don't know who number 1 from the left side is.
It's got to be a Met.
It is a Met.
In other news, sky's blue and water's wet.
Yeah.
Is it Franco?
It is. John Franco is the all-time leader in saves from the left-hand side. Billy Wagner is too short. He's at 420. Sweet. Franco's at 422. Well, I'm just keeping with the halftime show theme, Jim.
You ass.
So, Alex, Big Poppy's getting into Cooperstown, and I can tell you that I am not looking forward to the insane amount of Bostonians are going to be in upstate New York come July. I've yet to hear if the Seven Line's doing a trip for Gil Hodges, but I wouldn't think they would. We have some interesting names on next year's first ballot, the top one being Carlos Beltran. So I'm going to ask an opinion question, then I'm going to tell you who's going to get the biggest snub in 2 years. Is Beltran not going to get elected on the first ballot because of what happened in Houston? You don't think he gets in on the first ballot?
No chance.
If that didn't happen in Houston, was Carlos Beltran a first ballot Hall of Famer?
Arguably, yes.
Okay, Jim, what about you?
I actually got to say is you would think he would, but I think, unless somebody is jumping completely off the page. I don't see somebody getting in on the first ballot. I think he would have gotten in on the second or third, but probably not the first.
Okay. 2024 is going to hurt because that's when David Wright goes on the ballot. And he was on his way to me spending a weekend in Cooperstown in 2024, whether I live in upstate New York or if I've already moved south by then. But, of course, injuries, yada, yada. Jose Reyes is another one who goes on the ballot. But with the loss now of Bonds, Clemens, and
Schilling.
Screw him. But Curt Schilling off until the old Veterans Committee meets again. Alex, are we getting any of the steroid era guys in?
I don't think so. I mean, the argument is there and the numbers are there for Barry Bonds because you can probably put the close comparison to what Big Papi may or may not have done as well too, and he's now in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll just leave it right there. I don't want to turn this into a 2-hour podcast going forward. We've already gone.
No, I'm fading out. I've been up since 4. I slept for like an hour earlier, but I've been up since 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I got to put the ribs on before I go to bed tonight.
Ooh, you're slow cooking them?
Yeah, it's Coke, dry rub, barbecue sauce, slow cooker, 8 hours. Hell, it might even be breakfast tomorrow.
Jim, Cleveland has a tie to a steroid era player in Manny Ramirez, who we all watched and marveled when he was in Cleveland for the first however many years it was. 7, 6. He was there 93. He came up, right? Because he was in the old uniforms.
Correct. Yes.
All right. So he came up in 93, left after the 2000 season. Okay. I mean, Manny's a 2-time suspended. So we have no hope of Manny, right?
Yeah, because remember, you didn't really start to see the cracks in Manny until like the last year or two that he was here. And then the entire rails came off. He turned into a nut job. Then he got popped twice.
What do you guys think of the universal DH?
Go ahead, Jim.
I think it's long overdue. I mean, you've got the rosters expanded. You got all the pitchers in the in the lineup every day, or at least that are active, and it makes more sense. It's the object is to baseball's trying to actually get more offense on the board. So why actually not eliminate the possibility of 4 basically free outs a game by throwing pitchers at the plate?
DeGrom can hit. That's blasphemy. And of course, if the universal DH happened years ago, we would not have gotten May of 2016.
That is true, but but there's, he can hit. Dontrelle Willis, we all remember, could hit. There were
CeCe could hit.
Yeah, there were a few others out there, but you're only getting that once every 4 to 5 days. Or if you actually get a break, you only get them once a week, with travel.
Yeah. Yeah. Alex, what do you think of the DH? I mean, you're a White Sox fan, so obviously you've been dealing with it your whole life, but.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of enjoy it. I kind of like it because when my guys have to go to a National League park and have to go up there and take some hacks, I just worry about the injuries of it because my team has just perpetually been injured, especially in terms of pitchers. So if I could just see another bat get in the lineup and potentially get on base 1 to 2 times in the 4 at bats that they get, I'll take that any day.
All right. So let's wrap it up there. Alex,
also,
thank you.
Real quick. Plus also you run the risk. It would definitely cut down on, throwing at guys, especially when you're throwing at the guy who's actually, tossing to your offense at the time.
True. Yeah.
Yeah, very true. So Alex, you are the actual first guest on the Wise Guys show. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for coming on. So what's going on with Row 7, bud?
Well, I did not have a chance to do a podcast this week. I took on a tall task, and my wife and I went to go adopt the dog. So I'm now a dog father right now. So I'm.
What kind of puppy?
He is a hound mix. He kind of looks like a beagle, but I'm not exactly sure what he is. We got to get him tested to kind of see, but doing that right now. So the next podcast that I do will probably be Super Bowl like post show essentially. But
Gotcha.
Timing that out right now. But right now it's my I'm on dog duty right now, so hands are tied.
I hear you. And with JC Sports Note on YouTube, the John Morant thing was great, by the way.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What else you got coming down the pipe, Jim?
We'll probably I may actually I might actually want to do a like a Super Bowl kind of recap with this. I'm planning on getting that second Cavs story in there. It's the NHL is now going to be having their trade deadline in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to probably dig into some of that as some guys get moved around. I miss actually baseball because you've seen the blog. I want to actually start filling that up. We've got a big UFC fight coming up next weekend that I want to touch on. So I got a bunch of stuff in the pipe. It's just all a matter of where the cards fall and recording schedules.
No, I got you. And as I mentioned before, Jim, 2 weeks, you and I'll come back and we'll really hit the Cavaliers on Wise Guys episode 2 for the month of February of this year. Next week, I'm actually going to do a solo one, and I'm probably going to rip Rob Manfred to shreds. I am just done. I could go for an hour about how the man needs his gap redone in his teeth.
I'm also going to let you know is that there's a possibility, depending on what the weather looks like or what some of my other plans are, and I'll tell you about those off the air, that I might actually try and go down at least for the All-Star Experience next week because they're doing some of the events over at Wolstein, which is Cleveland State. Like they're doing this celebrity game, the slam dunk and all that. That's actually all happening at Romo Fijo. But they're actually doing some of the other, like the fan fests, some of the concerts and some of the other stuff. That's all happening at Wolstein.
Nice. And I'm looking forward to Myles Garrett in the celebrity game.
Somebody actually is putting out an early prop bet about, over and under on dunks for him.
Cool. And by the way, when we were talking about where LeBron may want to land, did you notice who his first reserve pick was?
Second, actually.
Was it a second?
It was
Darius
second.
Garland?
I watched it this morning. Luka was his first. And then, and I love actually the one thing that I love more is, LeBron, even though he's still very, very, loyal to this area. Sure, he went out and got it, but he pissed KD off doing it even more, which is never a bad thing.
That's very true. So outside of that, we're going to have another episode of the Wise Guy Show coming up in a couple of weeks. Next week, when I'm yelling at Rob Manfred, I will do a follow-up on the Super Bowl. And thank you, everybody, for bearing with me. Like I said, COVID hit me right in the face for the second time in less than a year. And the baby was down for like 3 days. I was down for 10. So, but thanks for sticking with us. As always, Big Rican and the Wise Guy Show can be found YouTube, Facebook, Twitter at Big Rican on Sport, at JC Blue Note, at Row7 or at Alex, was it _G?
RG8.
RG8. Spotify, which I don't know. I may pull a Neil Young. Anchor, Breaker, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, Google, and again, ask Alexa to play Big Rican. Gentlemen, thank you so much. Jim, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Alex, we got baseball coming up, God willing, very soon. We got to get back on it. And signing off, happy Super Bowl Sunday from a guy who was actually born on a Super Bowl Sunday.
You guys enjoy the game, Alex. Good to actually bring you guys, bring you on with us to see all the hilarity that develops here with this. And Mike, I'll actually catch you here in a couple of weeks, and I'll probably end up talking to you here off the air in a couple of minutes.
Absolutely. Guys, have a great one. Take care.